Something bad. Okay.
All right, to replace the big block of air valves here, what we're gonna do is, a lot of times when you have a lot of air valves, paying attention to color or taking a picture on your cell phone is extremely helpful to just see how they went on. And I'll actually do that right now. And this just helps you with the orientation, and that way you can even skip testing them after the fact if you do this. So just take a picture on your phone, you see how they're oriented, you're good. With this one, you have a very accessible connection point to these air valve components. So for here, I'm going to use a pliers to disconnect these. You just pinch the collar, and pinching it loosens it, so you just pinch and lift. Pinch and lift. Pinch and lift. I do this to all the accessible ones. So you can see, made it pretty easy to get to all of these. And from here, we're just going to pull these off. And if you see this white stem, when you put these back on, it's important that the collar goes down low enough that it goes to that stem. Because that's what these metal collars are for, is to just make that connection a little bit tighter. And you can see this one, I didn't quite pull it up enough. It was a little bit harder to pull off. So you just pinch and lift. So you can see you got the air hoses disconnected. We've got one over here. And when you're pulling these hoses off, if you use the pliers, try not to grab right onto the hose, because you could break these. If you're taking the part out, it doesn't matter, but if you're putting the part in and you hurt it, then you'll have a problem. So you can see, very easy to get access to those. Now if you reach around to the back here, there is a wire harness and a disconnector. So with this connector, you just pinch and pull. This part is now completely disconnected from anything, minus the Phillips head screws. You're going to want to use a stubby screwdriver to undo the Phillips head screws. If you can get a impact driver in there or something like that, you could use that too, but it's kind of a small space. Magnetic screwdrivers are real helpful in these tight areas too.
How many screws are there?
You got 4. 2 on the right, 2 on the left. And you see this just comes out super easy. So it's pretty accessible right from the front here. All you're doing is elevating up the leg rest, remove the cover, disconnect the power cord, disconnect the air hoses, and undo the 4 Phillips head screws that hold the air valve assembly in place. To install it, you just repeat in reverse. You're going to screw it in first. So we'll put this in here, try to line those up. Start on whatever Phillips head screw is easiest for you to access. There is no right or wrong. They're all a little bit of a tight squeeze, and a magnetic screwdriver will make your life easier. These are just self-tapping screws going into plastic, so if you were in a pinch and lost one of them, you could use a similar size screw Just know that the risers that it screws into, I mean, it's got to be a skinny enough one that it lines up correctly. And you don't want to over tighten them. They don't need to be excessively tight. They just need to be firmly screwed in. Since they're self-tapping, if you got a little over aggressive, you could strip out the hole. So this is all mounted back in. From here, while these hoses are off and it's a little easier, I'm going to get in here and I'm going to plug this in. So this just snaps in just like any other cable connection, very straightforward. And then from here, we're going to check our cell phone picture to make sure we put them in the way we took them out. And the rule is, I mean, these things will always kind of on their own reach and navigate to an area that they belong. Like the one that goes in the side should always clearly be the one that goes into the side. And then I'll just put these in. Pick the ones that are easily identified on your picture. So see how these, they just kind of naturally go this way. And then this one routed behind here. And one right there. And we got one more. Where is that one? And the last one. So when they go together, I mean, they should kind of look like they belong there. You shouldn't see anything extremely unusual. The cell phone picture makes this way easier because then you don't have to go into engineering mode. You don't have to test anything. You don't have to do anything because you know you connected them right. All you have to do is test it at the end to make sure that the repair fixed the issue. And again, we pinch these collars, pull the collars down on top of the stem of the air valve. And once they're down on the stem of the air valve, you're done.